You wouldn't have people?
Call this meeting to order, please. Take a roll call.
Counselor Thunderbird,
Is excused.
Counselor Duffel,
Here.
Counselor Katie McMillan, here, Counselor Wheeler, here, Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Here.
Counselor Kenneth.
Here. Here,
I'm sorry, he's here on the Zoom, sorry.
can you hear me?
Bro, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello,
He's on vacation.
hello, can you hear me?
I'll give it that.
Hello,
Mayor Sykes,
Is also excused. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Can I get a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as presented?
Was it honorable mayor?
Sure.
Substitute mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the meeting as the schedule it as written, presented. There we go. I got sidetracked with that honorable mayor thing.
That's, is sure, I know.
I know.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Votes are in. All in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion passed. City manager's report. Sir, all right, from what to?
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. Tonight, we're going to recognize promotion for officer. Last time I'm going to say that guy to sergeant position. Just a little bit about Officer Guy. He actually started a long time ago as a reserve in 1998 with Morrow County Sheriff's Office. He went full-time with them in 2005 and worked for them until I was fortunate enough to convince him to come to work for us in 2011. And he worked for us until 2016. And at that time, he totally got out of law enforcement and relocated to the Midwest. And it took him until 2021 to figure out that law enforcement was in his blood, and that's what he wanted to do. So he came back. But at the time he came back, I had no openings. So Morrow County hired him again. And he got recertified with Morrow County, and then I stole him in 2022. So even though kind of on paper, it looks like he's only been here since 2022, he has very much been involved in law enforcement community for quite some time. His family is here. All of these people are his family. And our law enforcement family are here to help recognize him and his accomplishment. So with that, you ready? You have to repeat now. Okay. I, as a Umatilla Police Department Sergeant,
As the Umatilla Police Department Sergeant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States of America,
and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Umatilla,
laws and the ordinances of the City of Umatilla,
and the rules and regulations of the Umatilla Police Department.
rules and regulations of the Umatilla Police Department,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
in and for the city of Umatilla,
and for the city of Umatilla,
according to law and the best of my ability.
according to law, to the best of my ability.
With that, his wife, Karen, will pin him now. Karen?
Ouch now.
You earned. I've never seen you say that much. I was training myself. I'm going to leave here.
Thank you for your service.
Congratulations, Ivan.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Sergeant Baggett. Oh, now you have to sign papers.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, moving through my reports, here's not just under general announcements. Wanted to let the council know, and the East Oregonian picked it up before we even get a release out. The city did receive 2 grants from the Oregon State Marine Board last week. They were one for our marina improvement project, which we've always been working on that concept. That process for over about 2 years now, and so this is to fund all the preliminary environmental and cultural resource work that we do prior to any kind of improvement there. That was a grant for $129,764, but the city matches $448,507 for a total project cost of $578,271.
Yeah, good.
We also got a grant for the Nugent Park, which is improvements to the boat ramp out there, as well as creating striping and some additional parking spaces and a better navigation down at the launch itself. That's a total project of $1,773,489. It's a combination of our FEMA money of $662,000, OSMB of $465,000, city funds of $568,000. That's from the 2019 flood that kind of washed out the ramp and washed out even further in 2020, back to that year of the flood. That work is finally moving forward and going to get it done here soon. We did announce today, or we've already announced our Land and Water Conservation Fund grant to replace the playground at Nugent Park. We're in a hold pattern from National Park Services. We had some issues with the title, the paperwork, and that kind of stuff. That's all been cleared out. We finally got our notice this week, and so we've opened our bid today.
Sorry.
I can't hear you. Yeah, that's good.
No, that's okay. Just want to make that announcement. So you'll be getting sometime either this month or early next month with actual contracted paperwork on that. One of the things that came with the Nugent Park boat ramp, it's finally getting its launch dock. It's back. So on the abutment that was there back in, I'm told, I don't have an exact date, in the early 2000s. Most the consensus seems to be 2003. The launch dock got damaged and taken out and never to be replaced. This will not only make improvements to the ramp, but bring that dock back as well. But what OSMD is worried about is that's going to become a very attractive fishing platform, since our fishing platform is broken. And so it comes with a condition that we will replace the fishing pier by 2025. And so we don't have that in any budget anywhere. And so we'll have to put a plan together on how we're going to go about doing that. But I know I've had some informal discussions with many of you, and so we'll bring that back for a more formal discussion in the next 2 or 3 months on how we're gonna proceed with that. We're really excited about that, several, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of money in there with this project, pretty excited about that.
Talking about that little fishing hut down there, I thought that wasn't gonna be replaced or something, but it is.
Yeah, so, well, now if you wanted to receive for these grant funds, we have to, but I don't think, it probably doesn't need to be what it is, where it's a sheltered facility, obstructed views, kind of down, we can do sort of your traditional fishing pier, where it's mostly just a platform that extends into the river, 4 to 6 feet, just a little build out so that you can get out and do the fishing that you need to do. So, that's gonna be a significantly more streamlined project than trying to replace it exactly the way that it was before, or what have you.
And anything's cool.
Yeah, so then you'll have, so those are all really exciting projects and we're happy to move forward on those. Next item, any questions about any of those announcements? Really with one mark.
Just one question, because you're referencing the fishing. Have we thought about that in regards to the walking bridge too? Are we gonna have to put up signage around there to say not to do that? Do we anticipate that people might try?
Actually, because we're gonna have the, bulb out areas on the bridge, we don't, unless the council wants it as a policy to not allow fishing from that bridge, we could allow fishing from that bridge. So,
We're actually, there's gonna be full last.
Right.
Yeah, I used to
remember
fish
that
all the
being-
time.
yeah.
But I just wasn't sure if that was something that,
The tricky part from fishing from there is if you hook onto a salmon from there, you're not craning that thing up the
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to, as you're fighting it, walk to the other side to the shoreline and try to bring it in that way, so.
The other issue is safety, the power poles are upstream, not very far from there, and so anybody that hooks onto that with a line. could
I got a
have-
few lures up there.
So we've talked about with the power company about possibly relocating that further upstream, but, then we may just have to, sign that side that says that there's no fishing allowed on that side of the river.
So one side, but not necessarily the other side. So we'll take a look at that, but yeah, there should be, so lots of exciting things going on at Inwood Park right now, so all new playground, all new pavilion. To go with the new bathroom and ball fields we put in the last couple of years, new boat ramp, new fishing, new boat ramp, new launch dock, and new fishing pad, as well as updated parking spaces and ADA accessible sidewalks. All of that work will be, some of it's already done and now scheduled to be done, and so in the course of 5 years, that whole park will be essentially completely revamped.
Keep
All right.
the merry-go-round, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
merry-go-round like to go into the museum.
Ah,
I don't know how we're gonna do that. They really want that, so I think it's gonna find its way there. Next item on the, down on the wall, sort of tilted, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll figure something out. We want to talk about landing days next, and we can kind of recap on that. I want Chris to kind of take the lead on that.
Sure, yeah, Nancy, you need a minute, or we could jump in?
Fix and loaded.
Okay, so we thought, I know there's a lot to say, we thought we might as well show you what it looks like, so we just wanted to give you a comparison. This first video we're gonna watch is from last year, the headliner, so just kind of keep an eye on the audience. And then, yeah, we'll show you what it looks like this year, and then kind of talk a little bit about that. So this is 2022,
There's no volume, it's just camera.
yeah, we'll go to the next view.
I couldn't get down there this year, so that's it was packed.
This was last year. This is
Yes,
last,
this was last year.
last year, front one.
Who was the headliner last year?
That's Vixen
Vixen.
on stage.
And so if you want to kind of keep that image in your mind of the crowd, we're going to show you what it looked like this year, during the headliner. We altered the layout a little bit, so you notice that we moved the stage, we have
Right.
a larger stage, a new stage. So we moved that over the corner a little bit, have in some more food vendors and things, but yeah, I'll just kind of show you, what our audience looks like this year.
Yeah, you guys knocked it out of the park this year. It was night and day different.
Well, it does help to have quiet, right?
Well, that's true.
They draw a little bit more than Dixon does.
Yeah.
But
Well, I will say, we put more effort into advertising this year, now that we have a whole team, as compared to last year, we definitely pushed our advertising quite a bit more. And then the last one, you can stop there, I think, Sandy. And the last one to show you is, I just want to point out, The entire day on Saturday, we were right at the peak of filling the parking lot, which we never did the previous year. So we had a meeting at 2:30, and said we need to come up with a plan because when fire light comes, we're gonna need to do something. So this is, I guess we'll put it together, I would say, I'm really proud of our team, and everybody here, we're all gonna discuss what we can do. In a really short period of time, we put together a parking plan. We knew that our full plan wouldn't be full, so we made kind of a contingency plan. So you can kind of see the volume of cars and people here. It's just an incredible thing.
That was a great idea.
Like these drone shots, dude.
Yeah, I think Jake went to really.
Yeah, I was trying to hit there, dude.
So, yeah, at our peak, we counted over 1,000 cars, on site during this video. We did the estimate, yeah. And that's probably gonna be. So, yeah, it was a really great year, really big year. We learned a lot as a team. We had a really great, meeting last week with everybody who got us together. We found things we could adjust and improve, but overall, it was an incredible year. We got a lot of really positive feedback. We got some good constructive criticism. See one things we could change in our layout a little bit. We learned the portable restrooms were a little bit too far, not enough close by. But yeah, we're taking all that feedback, so the next year will be even better.
Brought the car show back after several different kind of not great successes with that in previous years. This year we had a community member take the lead on that, and then staff also actually go to other car shows and try to network. We get people out there. We had, I think there's 119 cars.
Yeah.
It was really great. Yeah, yeah. And then our Jeep, Pacific Northwest Jeep Girl Pride, they showed up as they do. I think they had over right around 40 or 50 Jeeps out there in the show as well. So, and they obviously were in the parade too. So it was really, really great. So we did an after action meeting as we do. We put not only ways in which to improve the event moving forward, but ways to keep staff and volunteers safe, engaged, and functioning at our highest levels of efficiency. So we have all of that as well. But just curious if any of you had any feedback on landing days, experienced anything, your general feedback, the comments that people gave you, just your general impressions, good or bad.
I thought it was great. I just about quit going to landing days from prior years just because the mosquitoes aren't worth it alone, but when I went down there, Saturday after the parade and stuff, man, it was cool. It was way better than it had been.
Actually, I'm glad you brought the mosquitoes. So last year we were working with them and vector control, and we're looking to get, they flew a plane like the day after landing days last year. They couldn't get it here soon enough, so they were hand spraying, standing ponds and stuff to do their best leading up to it. But last year it was a lot of mosquitoes. This year they were able to, they were doing essentially the same manual treatments as nearby, but the plane was able to fly by about a week prior to landing days. There were mosquitoes out there. They do what it's called their land test, and they use both themselves as bait, and they also have a little I don't know what you call it, like a little square pad that attracts mosquitoes, and they can count how many times one lands on it. And so they did have some still out there, but the numbers they gave us like 2 weeks prior to the landing days, it was something like I think it's over 50 landings in a 10-minute period, and the week prior to it was only 6. So we knocked it down by about 90% in that 2-week period. So we didn't completely get rid of them, but it was significantly lower. And then they provided for us a lot of bug spray and like bug wipes and stuff like that. Had a trailer out there for us, so they were highly involved in this.
We could tell from being out there for the last 3 weeks, there was a very noticeable decline on this. Very nice.
Scott was actually in the final report prior to the event because they met like the night before out there. And Scott was attracting them very well.
You must have the same blood I got or something. I don't know.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I had a couple that I wrote down. I loved the enlarged maps. I know last year I said it'd be great if we could get like handout maps of like where everything was, because a lot of people are confused, and it was great to see an enlarged map, like as soon as you were walking in and just different areas, so it was easy to know where things were. Also loved seeing the new stage. I liked how high it was. I was pretty far back when the bloggers I think were on, and it was great to have the kids be by the bleachers and like we could really see them, whereas before I felt like the bleachers were like covering the stage. You kind of go like this to see like what was going on. So that was really nice. Also the positioning of everything. The inflatables under the tree versus like right in the heat of the sun. The booths, I noticed a really random thing, I'm sorry. But they were bordering the grass area versus just being like strips all the way across. And I felt like it felt bigger. I don't know if we had more booths or not, but it felt with the positioning of the booths that it was bigger. And oh, the car show. I actually, my husband or my son and I were walking through, and then all of a sudden I glanced over. I was like, oh, there's more. Like it was really cool just to see how many there were, and like it went beyond the restroom area. So that was really nice. And the kids' activities, I mean, we were there for several hours between paid things as well as free things, and so I felt like it engaged the kids, at least my 310, a lot more than they have in the past. The one thing that I did hear, oh, and I guess I did also have something about the parade too. I feel like, I mean, we've been in it a few times, but it has felt like it continues to grow with an audience more every year. And maybe it was just the fact that I had my kids there with me this time going, there's so many people, but I actually felt like there was more than the house has in the past. The one thing for consideration, and I know just because it's in the marina, if things we have a lot of hoops we're gonna jump through, but maybe having movable steps in the different grass areas. So like going up to the booth area and then heading down towards where the other food court is. Because I think I heard something like we can't actually put in stairs. Is that right? Okay. If there was.
We can, it just takes a very long time to do it.
To get approval.
We're looking at having some ranch built for next year.
Okay.
Staff purpose, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that was honestly out of everything, that's literally been the one point I heard. So. Oh, and I guess I did have, sorry, one more with the parking, the new change in the parking. I loved the flow of it coming from South Hill and going down the other direction. The sign was kind of facing more towards if you were coming down to the marina from the freeway. And so it was really confusing to know that the parking, like where we had to go into park, was different from before, whereas we used to take the marina entrance. And I felt so sorry for Josiah because he's like going like this, like telling people to stop because they kept trying to go in. So if there was maybe a sign on the other side as well, saying that parking, like keep going, I think that would help to clarify that a bit more.
That's all I heard too. Signage. And then did we have fewer vendors this year?
So we had more.
Did we? Somebody mentioned that there wasn't as many vendors.
Like she said, it seemed larger.
So spread out.
I thought
Maybe that, yeah, if you either feel like there was more or less.
we use that whole upper area, Chris, but that whole upper area, instead of people right down the middle, it's kind of around the outside too, so.
Well,
It made it feel much bigger to me.
Yeah.
it made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just- Overall, I heard really nothing negative in that fact. So that kind of gives us a snapshot of what we're getting ready to do.
Right.
And I think we can learn from this, maybe some hiccups we may have had and get through that.
Yeah, one of the things that we noticed is some of our long time vendors. So one of the things we did this year, we highly restricted vehicles in, like, you talk about Renaissance Quincy, that was restricted lane in. And the event's been smaller in years past, and so we've allowed vendors to kind of come and go as they needed, run to the store, get their resupply, and come in right to their spot. And we told them multiple times this year that we would not be allowed, you're gonna have to park in the main parking and haul stuff in. But you could come in early in the morning before everything happens, get all your stuff in there and have, the convenience being nearby. And so when we got really busy and they were running out of stuff, they'd run out and they'd come back, so we can't let you in, you gotta park in the parking lot, and get the stuff in, and they didn't like that very much. Our new vendors that we had were kind of used to that, they're used to bigger events. They're used to, that's the way it goes. Once the gates open, that's it. Restrictions, or travel are unrestricted. And, so that, I think there's kind of a learning curve there, and so I guess I would say, so now you know why, if you hear from one of our vendors, especially somebody who's been there, coming there for many, many years out there, which we're very happy to have, hopefully will continue to be a vendor with us. But that's just the new rule. I mean, we gotta, with that many people and that running around, we just have to control the liability associated with pedestrians and vehicles. We have to reduce those vehicles or restrict those lanes.
Can you get like a shuttle golf cart or something for?
That's exactly what we've
For
talked
gators?
about, and that's most likely something we'll be including.
Well, that's what they do, Huntston, you know, they get some stuff from either Bonnie or RDO or somebody. In the shuttle back and forth.
Right.
Anything else?
I would like to publicly thank Bruce for stepping up last minute and announcing our parade. It's not very well known that we had our parade announcer drop us on Thursday. And so I spent the majority of the evening and Friday morning hustling, trying to get somebody. Bruce willingly stepped up and did an amazing job announcing our parade. So thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
And then, I didn't realize that.
You got the tough job.
I know, fifth drop kid.
It's terrible, terrible.
And then,
Right?
No, your conviction. So,
as part of our transition into our next item, also just wanted to thank all of our sponsors. We had, in cash and in-kind donations of about $30,000 worth of sponsorships this year, which is the most we've ever had. Led the way by AWS, our title sponsor for the event. So really appreciate that. Event can't happen without the sponsorships. We know, and we've talked about this many times, but we know that these community events are to celebrate our heritage and to celebrate community and bring the community together. They don't make money, they cost money. And so we can't do that without the offset of our sponsorship. We really appreciate all of that help. With that, we have also next on the agenda, we have our AWS partners are here, and they have information to share and some sneak peeks, some cool stuff as well. So I have Kaylee here.
Dave, I do want to say, did we get a presser out, anything to the public? Can we send something out to them, basically saying thank you to all of our title sponsors, all of our sponsors, and just to get it in the media somewhere somehow?
We haven't done like a press release that way. We've been every day leading up to the event, and then after the event, we've done multiple thank yous to each of highlights of each of our sponsors on our social media accounts, which includes when we throw their image at the link, so you can click on it and take you straight to their web page or whatever.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're getting the
Gratitude and the recognition, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
we have
Exactly
exactly
right.
signage this year too. I don't know if you noticed as you came in, we had the sponsors there, on multiple places and on stage too. So we really try to do the job of making sure we're ready to have it done.
Yeah.
There's one landing day sign at the front, you guys know that,
Bottom
Southfield,
power line.
7:30. There's still one
Oh, really?
Thank you.
for next year.
Yeah, we got way ahead of the schedule. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to use the mic, I'm happy to use it, but if you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, whatever makes you feel.
Okay, perfect. Well, I just have to start off, as Dave said, Kaylee Davis. I'm on the economic development team and my role is external affairs. Live down the road in Echo and just really appreciate the opportunity to come and share some updates with you. I don't think I could have picked a better city council meeting. It just seems like good news after good news, promotion. So honestly, it's just been great to hear about all the positive updates and also for the police department to have that ceremony tonight too. It's just great to be here. So with that, wanted to talk a little bit about some projects that have just been completed and just share some updates related to Umatilla as well. So the first one is actually a video that I want to show. You might have heard, we just actually started, might not loud enough. Okay, oh, perfect. So we just launched a docuseries the end of May, and really the intent of that is to highlight partnerships in Eastern Oregon. We've done a lot with small businesses in the city of Umatilla, with Umatilla High School. And so that's one of the things we're really proud of, but we haven't always done a good job telling that story. And so The video that I'm going to share today, Dave and I were both very excited. It actually is not publicly going to be released until the 26th of July, but we got special approval to show it here tonight, and just hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. I'm just so excited. The robotics program here is just something I think everybody's really proud of. So with that, we'll show this short video. It's about 5 minutes long, and then I'll share some other updates and a report that we just finished as well. So. Sure. I always forget they have that share sound when you share your screen now.
Move that down.
Always had a passion for building things and using them, and my parents would tell me, oh yeah, you would tell them it's just like really good robotics team. So I was like, robotics team, okay, so I'll try my best to get into this.
My teacher at robotics was like, oh, you know, robotics program, I really want you to be a part of it. And I talked to her, I'm like, no, I've never done that before, and I was like, I was good at it. And she's like, you're gonna do it.
My parents did join the robotics team, started back in 7th grade. All down here is our chassis and our guidance, but our main part right now is our arm. I enjoy the build and like the hard and stressful work before you get actually competition.
Why does that want to be kind of about that? Because one camera can be the color really well, one can really well.
Okay.
So the thing about robotics is just learning a lot about myself and others. My social skills have improved a lot, because I used to like not talk to anyone, and this, since I'm scouting, I have to start talking to everyone.
First Robotics is an international robotics competition with high school kids. They have 8 weeks to build a robot and engineer it, learn to drive it, practice it, and be ready for competition. This is the first time we've really been able to meet actually and have like an official conversation. So what do you guys think? What's something that you'd like to improve on?
My personal goal and also team-wide goal is to get the new technology and devices that we're going to be getting from AWS ready for the new robotics. With the new CNC machine, it'll change our game completely from doing simple caveman manufacturing to real industrial manufacturing. Instead of doing just flat pieces, we will be able to do 3D models of blocks of aluminum, brass, whatever metal we have.
So from AWS, we're getting a lot of other computing devices for individuals within the team. So while we not have access to do their work on the go or the we're just kind of a mobile workstation. Well, hearing that's a lot. We're pretty small, but we're very close together.
Everyone knows that we have such strong connections, people willing to help us, people who support us, and it makes it feel like home.
Today, it is the start of our robotics competition, and we have a lot of alumni, AWS employees, robotic helps.
Maybe is the CNC machine, and that was purchased through the partnership with AWS. The school was never been before this. It's an $80,000 machine.
No one else on the side of the state has one, and no other public institution in Oregon has one.
This is my personal kickoff. I have a cycle machine. It's gonna do.
I just really want to see our team do really well this year, and we have a lot of people, and majority are freshmen, a lot of training to do.
We're not gonna have much time outside of the shop for the next 7 weeks. Some of us are gonna basically live here.
I just can't wait to be finally back and like having everyone working again, and to just be in the shop as like joining as a family.
when you spend all this time with your team, you know, what they like, their birthday, makes them laugh, it's really the stuff that makes you really care and want to win as a team.
Robotics has done wonders for me.
Now I'm definitely gonna go to college because I want to have my experience with robotics has opened my view of what I can do.
You learn from them, you learn all these technology skills and everything, then another way you learn is communicating with people.
I used to be, but then reaching out to these people and talking to them because it was my job, how to do it. It taught me that stuff.
Once you go and give somebody free, and then just come back to the community and return it back to them.
Just gave me the opportunity to open my eyes, like working in IT, that was something I never thought I'd do or even enjoy, I thought I could do it.
I want to do something in engineering, definitely. I mean, if I could get paid doing robotics, then it would be like a kind of a dream.
I put a lot of my sources, my whole high school career. It's a thing that ties us all together, not kids building robots, robots building kids.
So just an incredible group of students. I don't have to tell you guys that, you know that. But one of the things that just stood out to me at the Think Big Space opening was the number. I remember Superintendent Site had all of the alumni come up that were still coming back and dedicating time to the program or were there part of the program. It was just absolutely incredible to see the number of Umatilla High School graduates that are coming back because that had that big of an impact. So I'm really excited to have that video come out here in a few weeks and have a much broader audience to be able to see it and recognize just what a fantastic program that is. So that was one of the projects that was recently completed. Also wanted to share that we're helping support 2 robotics students as well as a mentor to go back to Washington, D.C. with Superintendent Site this summer. That's something we're really excited. They're going and promoting STEAM education, and all of us firmly believe in how important STEAM education is. So excited to support that. As Dave mentioned, really excited to be the title sponsor for Landing Days, but also I don't know who's more excited, Dave or I, about the Rock the Locks Festival coming up. And so we're going to be the title sponsor for that, and I'm just really excited to see this new project take off. I know it's going to draw a large crowd as well. I was just thinking I'm going to be excited to see the drone video of that one as well. So a couple different projects. Also wanted to just share that AWS Ambassadors, our In Communities team, is just incredible. They were most recently at Landing Days, but just to share a quick update, just in 2022, they donated over 2,300 hours back to the community, and that's something we're really, really proud of, and just love seeing all of the employees that are out. And it's really focused on giving back to their community and where their passion lies. And so just fun to share some of those updates with you. We also have the ChangeX Fund that's getting ready to launch. Last year was the first year that we had that community grant program. And so we're really excited to bring that back. That's going to go live on July 17th. And we'll also have just an information session as well as application assistance at the computer lab at UMCC in Hermiston on July 25th, just to make sure this is available in English and Spanish. And anybody that needs help. And the best part about it is the help I think people think they need for a typical grant, as you guys know, is a lot. But this grant is about as easy as it gets. It's really just set up for individuals, community organizations to receive funds. It goes from 500 up to 10,000 for nonprofit organizations. And so really excited to kick that off again this year. And then lastly, just wanted to share just a couple slides. This was a project that we just completed, actually started in December. So I'll go ahead and have Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy, by the way, for helping with this. So we kicked off a project, just a little bit of background. We had really heard from a number of people in the community, you know, really unsure of what actually happens in data centers, what's going on behind the scenes. So I'll take just a minute and share what most of you are familiar with. Cloud, obviously, anything on your phone that you're looking at the weather, you're looking at Netflix, all that information has to be stored somewhere. And so cloud computing is actually for AWS that started with Amazon. There was a lot of information. We were selling things online, and all that information needed to be stored. And then they got really efficient about storing that data. And so cloud computing as a business for AWS really came about when they realized they were good at it and they could save people a lot of money by not having to buy all of their own equipment. It was much more efficient, could save a lot of money if you just bought the actual storage space. And so just wanted to give a quick overview of the cloud and cloud computing. But really, that's how we came to Oregon. And so Eastern Oregon is actually the second largest cloud region, excuse me, behind Virginia. And so we're really, really proud of our presence here and have continued to grow in partnership with the city of Umatilla. And so as we talk, and you guys have seen those fact sheets that share some of the higher level numbers on our investments here. Since 2011, over 15.6 billion in capital investments, over 4,700 jobs that have been created or retained here, including 937 direct AWS jobs, in addition to the multiple contractors and people that are working at the data center locations. Just in 2022, over 41 million that were paid in taxes and payments. And then we're also the largest taxpayer in Umatilla, as well as Morrow County. So that's something we're really proud of. But one of the things that was really important to us is to really look a little deeper. So not just at the big numbers, but what does this actually look like for people in Eastern Oregon? Has it been a positive impact? What are things we can do better? And so if Dave turns around for a second, he's going to recognize these two people on the screen. So this is Danielle and Mofong from our research and analysis team, and they came out in December and spent an entire week here meeting with people, wanting to get to know their background. So AWS employees who we've never met before, education partners, city partners, just trying to better understand the community and what does the AWS coming into a rural community really look like. And again, just trying to get some of that background information led us to some stories that were pretty incredible from AWS employees that were from Eastern Oregon. So there's a number of stories I could have shared. UPA's one of them, Flint's one of them, but I did just pick two today just to try to keep it much shorter. So Ray, both Ray and Ben, I wanted to highlight them. They actually work here in Umatilla. And so just a little bit about Ray's journey. Prior to AWS, he worked for our local retail chain, and he made $13 an hour after working there for 7 years. And so he shared with us, he started with AWS in 2016, started off as a temporary employee, making $20 an hour. And then as he continued his career, he was able to start a manager training program, promoted to a manager of data center operations role recently in 2021. And since he's been at AWS since 2016, his income has more than tripled. And so it's so much better to hear it in Ray's words than mine. But he shared that there was not a lot of income growth before AWS, but that changed once he started his data center career. We were able to buy a house last summer and can now afford to pay a private therapist for members of our family who needed long-term healthcare support. This job has helped break generational curses for my kids. So these are individuals, again, have never met before, and it was just, my background is in workforce development. So for me, there's absolutely nothing better than seeing people connected with opportunities that they're passionate about going to work every day, and then it's been a good fit for their family. So the last one I wanted to share is Ben's story. So Ben actually worked in the region in construction and was a forklift operator prior to working at AWS. And he actually got his foot in the door, like many of you have probably heard, in a security role. And so from that security role, he learned a little bit more about our Grow Our Own Talent program. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But he joined AWS officially in 2019 and began as a data center technician. And since then, there's been, with the growth in the area, there's been a lot of opportunities for promotions for employees. So now he is the data center operations lead and responsible for operating and maintaining very specialized equipment at the data center here in Umatilla. And in Ben's own words, again, much better than mine, when I started working as a data center employee, I found myself more and more able to significantly contribute to my family. I can pay for entire family trips and help support my kids and ex-wife more than I ever could before. My son and youngest daughter are now able to concentrate on school instead of having to get a job to pay for extracurricular expenses. Working with AWS has been the single best thing in our lives, both monetarily and otherwise. So really, again, just didn't know these individuals, but it was really impactful to hear their stories. But in addition to their stories, I think what I really want to share as broadly as possible is just there's a lot of opportunities and we want to make sure anybody who's interested in pursuing a position at one of the data centers here in the area knows about all those opportunities. And so on the next slide, I just wanted to really quickly talk a little bit about cloud computing versus cloud infrastructure, and then highlight the cloud infrastructure pathways that are available here in Eastern Oregon. So again, cloud computing, we can really easily break that down as any positions that could be done remotely. And so solutions architect, software developer, those types of roles. But really what we have here in Eastern Oregon are the cloud infrastructure roles. So everything related to building the data centers, connecting the data centers, maintaining and operating the data centers, powering the data centers. And so those are the roles that we're always looking to actively find people for, whether it's for AWS directly or for a number of great contractors in the area who also help support that growth. Next slide. So this is some pathways to employment. We have another docuseries video that's coming out a little bit later this month is about our partnership with Blue Mountain Community College. But they have the data center technician program as well as the industrial systems technology program. So that data center technician, it's a short-term, less than a year certificate, but it's a fantastic program that does short-term training and gets you prepared to go into a data center technician role, which is really working on the servers themselves. And then the industrial systems technology program is really focused on maintaining the facilities. And so both options are available through Blue Mountain Community College. We also have $100,000 that we put towards scholarships for these programs. So anybody going into either one of those programs would qualify for some of those scholarship funds. We also have our Grow Our Own Talent program. This one's really important because some people can't take the time to go back to school. It's not realistic. This is a 12-week on-the-job training program, similar to an apprenticeship type program. And if you successfully complete that program, then you're automatically offered a position. And so a lot of motivation to get in, start working and actually get paid while you're being trained, and then into a full-time role. And lastly, this is something that was implemented a few years ago is AWS internships. And so there's security internship, there's data center manager internships. Those are for students pursuing a 4-year computer science degree or similar. Data center technician would be for the BMCC data center technician or Peritech type of program. And then again, the engineering operations positions are going to be those roles that work on the facilities. And so a lot of good opportunities. We've seen students from Umatilla and Morrow County come back after they're pursuing continuing education and get into these jobs and then end up with a full-time position after. So to me, it's about bringing back young people who are really excited about coming and living in Eastern Oregon. But again, as these pathways kind of point out, it doesn't matter where you're at in your education or your work experience, there's definitely career pathways for everybody. And so if you have any questions, if anybody's curious about jobs, definitely we're happy to help with that. So with that, I've been talking a long time. Thank you so much for letting me come and share a little bit of information. It's just important to come back, I think, and share updates and make sure if you guys have any questions, we take the opportunity to help answer them. So thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Dave. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
We appreciate the partnership more than you probably know. When everything first started out and everything was kind of cloak and dagger, we've definitely moved forward over the course of years. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the city's partnership. It's been incredible. And I know sometimes I'm looking at you, Scott. Sometimes it requires a lot of patience, but we honestly couldn't be more grateful for the partnership. So, and drove by earlier, just lots of movement going on the new site. So, yeah, but I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it does take a lot of patience, Scott.
All right, and last in the manager's report, we have an update on our 6x26 mural project. We are moving forward with our Nugent Park mural on our brand new concession and broadcast building, and I'll have Chris give us some more update on that.
Sure. So for you council members, this idea first came around in 2019. The city proposed doing 6 murals by 2026. This is our first one, so we got a little bit of catching up to do. But it was first proposed then. So it was a good learning process for my staff. One of our staff members has an art background, so we kind of handed off to I think the lead. We went through the process and developed an RFP. pitched that out to a bunch of artists, got a lot of feedback, but no responses the first time. So we reworked it, sent it back out again, and we got 2 responses. We developed some criteria. It's really difficult with art. We don't want to just judge it by the art itself. We want to make sure the artist is qualified and capable, they have a background in doing murals, so it's not something that's brand new to them, so that we know that the product we're receiving is good. So we developed some criteria, and then we made a subcommittee of the Parks and Rec committee to do the evaluation. So we received 2 applicants. This is the art that we chose for the mural. So we gave the artists the theme of recreation in Umatilla. We gave them some prompts that they could use, whether that's the sports or the river or fishing and things like that. And then we said, you know, come up with a mural, show us what that would look like. So for this one, just to kind of help you understand what's going on, this artist took a bunch of players, you know, before or after game, putting their hands together to do a cheer, kind of representing this community coming together. And then they actually took the city's, it's the tagline, motto, catch the vision, which we didn't ask them to use, but they put that below. And so this one was the top recommended piece of art for the mural. The artist came with quite a bit of background and has been on murals with the Pacific Northwest. He's currently located in Spokane right now. He's actually doing a mural in Portland. He had some connection to the area and drew lots of time with him. And so, anyway, just gave us a really solid proposal. We knew that he would be able to do the work. Because of the temperatures right now, we have to postpone the actual mural until the fall. It'll get a little bit cooler. It's not ideal for doing a mural this time of year with our heat that we have. So we'll be doing a little bit more refining with him on this piece, but this is the main concept that we responded to. It was a very tight vote. The second place one came in very close, but in the end, this was the one we selected. And we took that to our Parks and Rec committee for review and discussed it there. Came up with this. So we're really excited. This is the first one. We have several more to go. We budgeted, I believe with our budget, we can probably do 2 additional murals this fiscal year as well. So we're looking to get those off and that process going. At least 1 or possibly 2 more this year as well. So yeah, we're very excited about moving forward, and we learned a lot in this first one, so we'll be more prepared to use the right wording for the artists so they know what they're responding to a little more successfully. Do you have any questions for me?
Did we decide on if like the 6 by 26, that they were gonna be themed? Or do we, each one's gonna be kind of their own based on what building they're on? Did you guys have a plan for that at this point?
I was gonna say, they'll get all of it different. This one, because we're going to part of this recreation thing, but I don't know all the history, so I'll let you fill it. So
Yeah, so there was a lot of back and forth on whether the murals should all be connected in some way, or whether they should be standalone pieces of art, and the decision has been they should be standalone. If there's a way to tie some together, we can. One of the things we envision, sort of fast forward to 2026, someone could come into City Hall or go online, most likely, and be able to do a walking tour of these murals through, and you can have them connect with everybody. Each one should kind of tell its own story. And this one with that building at Newton Park, for example, the city bought the materials, but the design, the labor, construction, all of it was 100% donated by local developers. And the idea, and then it being there in the park was this notion of it as parks, as an area for community to come and gather and bring people together there for that. So that we didn't necessarily want to, if it was gonna be all historic, maybe that would have felt maybe out of place at a park, or if it was gonna be something that celebrated festivals versus something that celebrated the long history of Umatilla, even prior to European contact and so on. I mean, it could have just been, it just seemed really difficult to try to find 6 murals that were unique that also were all tied together in the same kind of story. We felt there was more opportunity to have them stand on their own.
Is that it? All right, moving on to number 6, public comment. Doesn't look like we have any. Moving on to 7.1, paid invoices. At this time, if the council has any questions, if they don't, I'll take a motion to approve 7.1 is presented.
Mr. Mayor, let's call you Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the paid invoice item number 7.1.
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, moving on to public hearing. We don't have any new business. 9.1. We can't do both, can we? Or is it approval?
They're two separate items, so,
Okay.
yeah, they're not connected.
So are we looking for a motion on this?
So if you have any further additional comments or questions of staff for ordinance 869, we can do that. You've held your hearings, you've had your recommendations, you've received your staff reports. This is the last step. If you have any additional follow-up, we're certainly here and available for that. If not, we're looking for a motion to approve.
Right? If nobody has any questions? Anybody have any questions about?
No?
I'll look for a motion to adopt it or to approve it.
I move that we approve new business 9.1, adoption of ordinance 869.
I have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
There's a 3-second delay. on
That's
this.
right.
Is that what it sounded like when?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I figured, I saw everyone smile every time I said something.
All right, moving on to 9.2, resolution 01-2024.
Yeah, so, you had your required public hearings in, July of 22, followed up by follow-up meetings for the Power City Brownell Water Service Project. Our application was successful, a little more than $2 million on this grant to provide water, to the residents of Power City and the area of Brownell. This is, your resolution to accept that grant according to the terms and delegate authority so that I can sign it and any future amendments that might need to be associated with that contract.
This is the one we just talked about. We've been talking.
Yeah, we've done the sewer side already. This is the water side.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, I need a motion to approve resolution 01-2024.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 01-2024.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Right. Moving right along. Any public comments?
Actually, there is.
Chris?
I'll give you a minute to read your speech thing.
My speech thing, I
If you need to.
need to. I don't really have one.
At number 6, read number 600.
Do I have to read it all? Public comment is an opportunity for citizens to express opinions, raise issues, and provide information to the city council. Comments presented during this segment should be on city-related issues and not on items that are scheduled for public comment on the same night as the evening agenda. If you wish to speak, please provide the requested information on the sign-up sheet. Being sure to note the topic on which you will speak when you are called to the podium. Begin by stating your name and address. You will have 5 minutes unless otherwise instructed. You're called to the podium.
Carla Huxell. I'm gonna use 306th Street. Because that's pretty much my residence for the last 20-some years. So I know that there's rumors going on out there about my tenure. This will be my last year, but I want to make it very clear that I have not been asked to leave. I'm not under investigation as far as I know. And I've always said, I'm gonna know when it's the right time, and it's the right time. So what I want to talk about, which is something that I personally never talk about, is some of the accomplishments that I have achieved while being your police chief. For those of you that don't know my history, I started here in 1996 as a patrol officer. And I was the first woman hired by this agency, by the city. My dream job was to become a detective, which is what I accomplished in 1999. And I love that job. And that was my dream job. And then an opportunity came up to promote to the police chief, which I did in 2005. So I've been your police chief for the last 17 years, and I've been very proud of it. Again, like I said, there are accomplishments. My biggest accomplishment is the people that I've hired and the impact that I think that we as a department make on our community. I make it a point to hire service-oriented people. We are here to provide a service. And over these years, it's been to change the culture in that department from more militaristic to less militaristic to more compassionate, caring officers. And I think I've accomplished that. The very first community type program that I was involved with was our Community Accountability Board. And I actually started that before I was the chief. I started that when I was the detective. And we are still operating that Community Accountability Board. It's very successful. It's the longest running one in Umatilla County. And in my opinion, if we can change the path of one kid through that program, then we're successful. And I think we've been very successful over the years. Another accomplishment is accreditation, because honestly, when I started as a police officer here, I asked for a policy manual, and I got handed this policy manual, and I'm reading through it, and I said, "Do you follow this policy?" And the chief goes, "Well, about what?" And I said, "It says here that I have to wear cowboy boots." Because it had not been updated since the early 80s or whatever. And so they're like, "Oh, no." So trying to organize and establish a policy manual, establish some uniformity was a priority for me. We've been accredited now. We were the first small agency in Eastern Oregon to get accredited. We're still, there are still very few and far between accredited agencies in Eastern Oregon. Not only have we been accredited, we have been re-accredited twice. So we're still doing that. Also, I served 13 years on the Oregon Association Chiefs of Police on the board of directors. We still have a ways to go as far as equality for women. But I fought that for quite a while. I served proudly, and I recently resigned that position because I knew I was going to resign here. So I wanted somebody to be able to come in and get acclimated, and so that they would know. I fought for several years to get a school resource officer, and I'm proud to say that we have one. And our school resource officer is outstanding, and he is truly a very knowledgeable and adds to our department and to the school district in lots of different ways. One of the things that when I got hired that I said that we were going to do is not be afraid of technology, which I am not techie in any ways, but to try and put people in so we can promote that. We were one of the first smaller agencies to do body cameras. I mean, we had body cameras before Hermiston and Pendleton. And so I was not afraid because I felt like our people were doing the right thing. And so the body cameras are huge now. Everybody has them. But we also just recently did fingerprinting, electronic fingerprinting, electronic e-ticketing, in-car technology, you know, as best we could with the budget that we had. Fortunately now we have a lot more budget. And so I hope that that just continues on its merry way. The other thing here recently in May, I share with you that we always do our annual training in May. We had several members of DPSST, which is the state training facility for police officers here. And most of they participated in some of our training, but a lot of it was they wanted to get finer details of how we run our annual training because they are using it as a model training program throughout the state now for smaller agencies. So I'm really proud of that. And like I said, yeah, there's a bruise right now. I call it a bruise. But overall, I'm very proud of things that I've done here. And I will always, always stand up for Umatilla and be proud of Umatilla. That's where I was from, raised here. And I will always fight for Umatilla. And so my hope is, number one, that you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen at the end of the year, and it gives you enough, and Mr. Stockdale, enough opportunity to kind of recruit and do a smooth transition. Obviously, my department's pretty young, so I'm going to work with whoever that person is to make that as smooth as possible. Again, like I said, I'm very proud of what I've done here, and I will walk away with my head held high. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, public comment? All right, 11.1, discussion items.
Yeah, thank you. So you have in your adopted budget that we are now to day 5 into our new fiscal year. We approved to buy a new dump truck this year. As we've done, as we're getting ready to make that purchase, prices just continue to be astronomical, and we just can't seem to keep up with what those prices are and funding for it. So it got us thinking a little bit more about, you know, what are some ways in which we can deliver the level of service that the residents deserve and expect? And are there maybe some other opportunities out there? And so maybe that's through used vehicles, or that's through a series of other vehicles purchases. So I wanted to give Scott an opportunity to talk about some of those perhaps different alternatives that we might want to consider moving forward on how to address this issue of getting that level of service to the community, particularly keeping the roads clear if we need plow services and keeping them sanded and rock if we need that too. But let's go ahead and go about that.
Thank you, interim mayor and city council. Well, real quick, I just want to thank you guys so much again for the trust that you put into all of the directors to be able to do what we need to do, rely on us for our expertise and those kind of things. And so it got us thinking here, if we ordered a new truck, we're probably 1.5 years out. I just don't have 1.5 years to wait with the shape that some of our equipment's in. It's not, you all know, I've already been down this road. It's not for lack of keeping it up, it's for lack of age, you know, or too much age on it. Not being able to get parts, pieces and those kinds of things. And, you know, as Chief spoke earlier, we're have a nice healthy budget. You guys are really good about exercising that. And so, and also making sure that we're frugal enough. And so that's what we try to be. So anytime we list something and we deviate from that, I like to make sure that you guys understand why and give you an opportunity for input if you feel like you need to. But basically, yeah, new dump trucks are running in the $300,000 mark, and that's about what we budgeted for. But with the plow attachments and everything else that are going on now, you know, we'd be well into $450,000 to $500,000 for a dump truck that, quite honestly, we got used to just doing things the way we've always done them, you know, and so I really didn't get out of my thinking. Dave kind of brought it up as, hey, do we really need that, you know, and Leon and I sat down and talked about it, and when we came back from it, we really realized that we do a lot of plowing for ODOT, we do a lot of plowing for the county that we probably don't need to do, you know, because they're gonna do it, but at the same time, we try to provide that level of service that's above and beyond. And so with all the new 1-ton trucks that I've ordered, or that we've ordered through the city, that the guys are getting, we've ordered plows for with all those trucks so that we can do the residential areas and get into the tight areas and get around. You don't have to have a CDL to drive them, and they're a little more agile and those kind of things. So what we've kind of come up with is we'd like to maybe purchase a dump truck that might have a year or two age on it, you know, even with a truck that has 100,000 miles on it with a semi, that's brand new. They're basically not even broke in yet. And the used market is really much more competitive than the new market. And so we just haven't had really good luck at finding really good prices on new trucks. And so I've found several good trucks that are
3 years old is a lot newer than our 30-year-old.
Yeah, my truck at work has 1.5 million on it and still going.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, we don't put a lot of miles on it anyway. We do a lot of in-town driving and that kind of stuff. Probably give you too much information, but I just want to make sure you guys are all under the understanding that when you see a dump truck that's a couple years old, if you can even recognize it, that it has stickers on it that, hey, I thought we talked about getting a new truck. This is kind of what our thought is we would purchase a dump truck into that $200,000 range. And then with the leftover money for budget, we would then purchase some gravel spreaders that would go in the back of our 1-ton trucks. And then we can keep that level of service. Once we do get, you know, we may decide that once Power Line Road is all new and open, that we need something a little bit bigger, then we can purchase a plow that goes on the front of that dump truck for pretty, you know, $35,000. So,
And those dump trucks are, you know, non-scientific term, they're big and clunky. And when you get into some of these neighborhood streets that sometimes are quite a bit more narrow, and especially if a car is parked on it, we're just not that nimble in there. And so you end up with just not a great plow job that's through. And so these 1-ton trucks with snow tires on them and a plow attachment can be significantly more nimble, much more efficient and effective in the neighborhood. And then you can come in with the dump truck and just dump straight behind that small 1-ton plow to put down rock or sand or whatever they're going to put down for whatever it is that day. And the other issue that's and so he mentioned briefly, but it's, I think, a bigger issue is that big dump requires a CDL. Not all our guys have a CDL, and not all positions require a CDL. But if we had just the 1-tons without that CDL, then all of our staff can be trained. If we get the sort of snowmageddon that showed up here in winter of 16, 17, the winter of 19, 20, and then again 2021. Those three, I mean, I get that El Nino is gone, El Nino is coming back in, but all that aside, the ability to have sort of an all hands on deck, all staff being able to get in the vehicles that we got is a big advantage as well. So, but we know we want to be respectful, very much so, of the budget that was just adopted for a brand new truck. As we looked at the market and looked at our operations that much further, we felt like this might be a better alternative is to get something with a few miles on it and equip some of our smaller vehicles to provide that service.
I can't speak for these guys, but I mean, as long as you're good with it, I mean, you're the, like you said, you're the director of the stuff, you know what's best and what your guys need and what you think would be best for the job, and I'm all on board if we.
But Dave and I mean, all of us, we're real transparent. We don't want anybody thinking, well, now we approved
We
this.
probably want to have a minute to do that, but you went and bought 3 different things. We don't, yeah, we just want to make sure that we.
Scott's driving a new Cadillac.
Well, if we see that, we're gonna plow in front.
You look though, you're not agent.
Stop.
But anyway, yeah, so we're just like, yeah, Dave really likes us to be transparent, so we thought it'd be worth a few minutes to just talk about it. And on top of that, I'd really like to thank Kaylee for her refereeing, for better lack of the term, and Hillary and all the staff that works with Kaylee. That it gets a little contentious when we're trying to meet deadlines that are really tough, and
Who means passionate? There's no contention.
yeah, that's a better word for it. I'm not a Smith guy, so anyway, but anyway, I do appreciate your position and where you've got to kind of, try to, you can kind of throw your hands up and say, okay, let's step back for a second, let's think about this. So, it really does take everybody with this group and her group and all the Amazon folks to make this all possible. And so, anyway, just wanted to say that since I had a minute to say so. Thank you.
Well, my only question would be is if we can get the same level of service, I have no problem with it, but I know there's a big difference between a one-ton truck and diesel truck. I mean, a semi-truck.
Yeah.
Significant.
Yeah, well, so the one-ton trucks that we have will have spreaders in the back of them with 4.5-ton capacity because we have airbags on them. And we also chain them up in the winter time when we're gonna be plowing and that kind of stuff. Even guys that have driven semis for a long time that don't typically drive plows in the winter time, it's a different experience. And so,
Especially one that's 30 years old.
yeah, exactly. So even with the new one, we just don't have guys that run them that much. The state's one thing where you're running all winter time and out on the freeway, and even the county, they're putting a lot more miles on. It just seems they're a lot more maneuverable, and I think you are right, but we have a really good relationship with Kirk and the county on this end of Umatilla County. We have a great relationship with those guys. And we plow some roads for them that they normally can't get to. And then if I needed help blowing power line open, they'd be over here in a heartbeat. So I think we have that.
I want to.
Yeah.
So with that, you have a great relationship. So what's that going to be 10 years from now? What's that going to be later on? That's my only thing.
Yeah.
If we make a purchase now, it's going to sustain us. And hopefully we'll be using it for 15, 20 years. We won't rely on that relationship that maybe might still be there or not.
Right. We will be getting that plow in front of that truck eventually. It's just, we feel like right now we're in a good position where we can plow it, we can sand ahead of that truck if we have to, and those kind of things. So.
And like I said, I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing first, having a broader perspective. I appreciate the fact that you guys want to do more with less. I mean, definitely. And you're right, the market is stupid, right? But we just have to adapt to it.
And I can't wait a year and a half.
No,
Honestly,
no,
if this truck goes, like it did last year, we're in trouble.
And the other part too is obviously new technology. It's easier for the user. It's easier. It cuts down on man labor. I mean, everything. It's better all the way around.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
We'll definitely do our best to make sure we're giving that level of service. When we had that 18-19 snow, we have, Ashley said it, everybody said it, but there was no town around here that had better roads than we did at that time. And it was because of the guys and then busting it out there. So we're not afraid to spend a little overtime to make sure everybody's safe. That's good.
Or anything else on the dump truck saga? All right, let's move on to mayor's message. I don't know that I'm the mayor to have a message, but I want to publicly thank Darla for her years of service. You don't have to tell us what your accomplishments are. I've been here since '98. I know. I see you embedded in community. You didn't even talk about community stuff. You didn't talk about, all the years that you coached or were involved with or refereed or were hand in hand with community, or the countless amount of hours that you provide to other boards that affect our community in a great way. there's a fingerprint that you put on the community that you far surpass, that I don't think you even realize what you've done. And when, as far as community relations, I don't know that you can go anywhere and not know somebody. That's a testament to you as a person. So and the type of people that you're hiring to be police officers today is a direct reflection of you. And what I mean by that is empathy. You have compassion. You have thoughtfulness, and it's about community policing. It's not about it's about you serving the community, like you said. It's not about us going out and doing the losses. We can do that. Well, is that best for that person at that time? So I appreciate that personally. For my family, I thank you, and for the city, I'm sure we all like that. But I just want you to know that I personally and my family definitely recognize the thumbprint that you put on the community. It's fantastic. Thank you. Secondly, great job on landing days. Again, I think it was very forward thinking, you guys, and being on your feet and thinking about the parking situation and utilizing some ground that was available to us. So it was perfect. So we were able to utilize what we needed to do and where we went. That was great. That was kind of one of those things. Okay, well, let's get her done. And that's how the city has always been, you know, our next sign should be just get her done. And it is, you know, and I appreciate that fact. And Dave, you and I have this conversation all the time. That, it's like you guys just said a minute ago, well, all the city employees will just jump in the 1-ton trucks and we'll just get her done. Well, yeah, that's one way to do it. But that's the mentality that we have. And it's all of us that have really kind of had a finger in it. And so you guys, you just got it done, and I appreciate that. And we went to a 2-day event, which I think is fantastic. I think we need to do that, you know. So thank you very much. I appreciate the hard work that you guys have put into that. I really, really do. And hopefully it'll transition into community, and the community will want to be more of a part of it if they see us engaged and you guys out there doing what you need to be doing. And I hope that it translates to the fact that it's not you guys getting paid to do it, it's you guys doing it because it needs to be done. And that's a big difference. So I don't think that a lot of people see that. And you know, that's one thing that needs to be recognized. I appreciate it. So, councilors, discussion information. Let's start it down there. Moving on.
About what?
Oh, Roic, yeah. Well, yeah, Roic, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Great.
You're first.
Awesome. So, yeah, Darren, you said very well, beautifully said, to thank Darla for everything that she's done for our community and the service that she's provided. It's just absolutely outstanding, and what what an amazing career. So, just thank you, Darla, for your service. I also want to thank city staff and all the crews. I've watched personally days prior to landing days, all the activity, and then certainly during landing days, just trying to just keep your arms around everything that was going on during the event itself. But then the follow-up, the days afterwards, it was just incredible to be a witness to, and I'm just so proud just to be a part of this community and to just be a part of everything that's going on. I just want to thank everybody for, I mean, I know that it was a lot, and you guys just surpassed anybody's expectations, and thank you so much. Just thank you. Anyhow, that's all I've got for the moment. So carry on.
Thank you. Enjoy your vacation, by the way.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's really, really warm. I think first day we were here was 115 degrees. That was a little bit tough, but it's starting to cool off a little bit now. We're in Las Vegas, and it's been a beautiful 4th of July celebration. watching the fireworks over the top of Caesar's Palace last night was just incredible. And we're here celebrating my oldest grandson's 21st birthday, and he's just having a blast, and his eyes are wide open. I'll tell you what, he's having a great time, and we'll be home Friday morning. So anyhow, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. McMillan.
All right, well, I hope everyone had a great Independence Day and it seemed safe. I didn't see too many fire trucks running around, which is always good, and everyone showed up their fingers. But anyway, I want to thank you, Kaylee, was it? Thank you to there's a lot of like a bridge that a lot of people in town don't associate with Amazon. You know, they see new buildings going up and like, oh, great, another building, you know, and there's a lot of negative, but when you see things like the robotics team and then the stuff you guys put into the community, it opens a new light. And so a lot more people can see that there's more to Amazon than just a building on a hill somewhere, you know? So thank you for that, you know, it's the relationship with the city and Amazon is really cool, and seeing the different things about it. Chief Huxell, I mean, what can we say? You have done more for this town than anyone here could say. I mean, it's the one place where you don't see anything negative about the Umatilla PD anywhere. There's no YouTube videos about it being bad. All I see is plus things. You guys honor your oath to the Constitution, which is a huge deal. And there's so few departments who do that anymore. And it's all on you because you've done this with your crew, you know? And so I really do appreciate everything. And, you know, we got the rest of the year to keep you. So we're gonna be here for a little bit longer anyway. But I really do appreciate it. And to the rest of the staff, again, Playing Days was phenomenal. It was the best one since I've been here. And so I really appreciate everything you guys put in. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure, that we don't know about. But it really doesn't go unappreciated because we really do appreciate it. And everyone else did too. So thank you for everything.
Very good. Really.
That's okay. But I will say, it was funny listening to you talk and just having that moment in my head where I was like, I think this is the most I've ever heard her talk in one city. Because even in the reports, you're like, you see it, yeah, you can read it, read on. But I appreciated that because I feel like, I mean, Darren had already said it. We all know all the impacts you've done, but it was just great for you just to go out there and speak and just talk about that. I think it was awesome to see that. So I love that and thank you. I want to give you the biggest hug. And also with Amazon, I loved what you had stated about, you know, here's all the tax dollars that are coming in Morrow County and Umatilla County. But we wanted to go deeper. We wanted to see how is this actually impacting the city. And I know that that is not only a testament to your heart and the things that you're passionate about from the community, but also what we were like, hey, we want to be able to collaborate more in those ways. And I'm just excited because I feel like we're taking those funds and not only really bringing it into the roots of our community, but now we have that docu-series that we can share, just like that's saying. It's great that we have marketing things to say, no, look, this is actually the impact in a positive way, and not just having people's pockets more, but it's actually making an impact in our kids' lives and in the community and different grants and nonprofit organizations. And I know that we basically just threw the rock in the river, and we're just seeing the ripples of what that impact is going to make. So thank you, and thank you for continuing to come back just to share that, because I'm always excited to see you, but I also know it's coming with good news. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, how do I come after that? I mean, all of you. Well, I do want to say thank you, Kaylee. I appreciate you guys coming back in here and following up. There's so many times, there's so many partnerships that are so quiet. We don't really know what happens, and you just see money come in or whatever, but it connects a lot more dots when we start seeing the video. And I think that'll help a lot more people too, especially all the kids, once they see they're on that video, they're like, oh my gosh. But I really appreciate you guys coming in and checking back in with us and showing us things that you're actively doing for the community. That's a lot of different view for a lot of people. So we appreciate that. Like he said, they're not just another building up on the hill or, whatever, there is fruition. So we appreciate that.
Well, I'll be back. I like coming.
Yeah, we come back. And thank you guys for landing days. It was the best one, like you said. So, yeah, I'm just repeating what everybody's saying, but it was incredible. It was the best one yet. And that's basically all what I heard is how awesome it was. And, so thank you for that. And Chief Huxtable, I don't know how to follow any of those guys right there. I mean, I appreciate you, everything that you've done for everybody. Fighting, I'm not a feminist in any way, but fighting for women's rights. Obviously, we know that they're not always been the same as everybody else. So I appreciate you fighting for that and always keeping that in your mind as well, just so that someday, you know, we can do the exact same thing that everybody else does. And you know what? Knowing you're leaving here is not gonna be a concern because your legacy is left here. And your legacy, how you built all these younger kids that are up that are in the police department now, you have no doubt in our minds that their foundation was set and that legacy is gonna live on through them. And so we appreciate you and we thank you very much for everything that you've done for us. All right. I'm done.
My report next time is going to be short, and you won't hear me.
That's all right.
You know, Basically use up all your words.
And the how many years that you?
It's kind of like me golfing. So the other day I shot a 72. I only got to hole 9, but I shot a 72. I think it's just too many holes. That's the problem. You just like how many? Dang it.
Aim for the hole in the middle.
Yeah, that's easy. No. So with that, I think we're good unless anybody's got anything else.
I've got one more thing, if I may.
Sure, you bet.
So, yeah, I would just like to thank you, Darren, for filling in for my duties in the mayor's absence and in my absence. It's always nice when the backup has backups. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. And you did an amazing job as always.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate everybody's support. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have motions. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? No. We are done. Thank you.